Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing? Um, I see there's a few of you already in the live chat. Vaporama, Wise Mama Bear, V6. How are you? So today's video is going to be on the upcoming solar eclipse on June 10th, this Thursday. And I guess, yeah, June 10th. And I think would it be for June 11th for some of you? I know it's happening pretty early in the morning for most of us here in North America. I'm going to get into this. What is so important here? I want to just give you guys some insight because this is a pretty big one. I mean, all eclipses are big deals. But this one is important to make sure you just don't sabotage any high potential that could be coming through to you with this solar eclipse. So I'm going to drop a little bit of advice in here, what to look out for. But before I get into the solar eclipse and some of the messages that I've received for it, I just have a couple announcements. One of them's breaking. I just found out literally maybe 2 hours ago. The first one is that, okay, tomorrow night I have Consuelo coming back on the podcast. We're going to be talking about the importance of soul group contracts, why certain groups of us are coming in together, what we're doing together, and also she's going to take us through an entire clearing of how to clear any contracts, curses that we may have. She's going to bring in Lord of Time. But we're going to go into the importance of these soul group contracts, why they're happening, also a little bit about how we sometimes set up punishment for ourselves and how we can mitigate that. So it's very interesting. So I'm having her back on tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Also, Wednesday, I'll be doing all signs for all of you guys. Again, that'll be at 6 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday. And then Thursday, it's tentative. It should be okay. I just don't know the time yet. I'm going to be going live for a very special show. For any of you who are interested in the American State, the State National, the American States Assembly, I've done a couple videos on that. The one that I did with Dennis back in February has a lot of views on it. A lot of you have been so grateful for that information. Well, I'm having Dennis back on with Matthew, who's also a recent state national. And Matthew is who introduced me to Dennis and the whole, I guess, government. I guess we can call it is a government. So, something has happened. Now, I think this is going to be important because some of you have asked me to bring on people who've actually gone through the process and what they've come up against as a result. And Matthew has undergone something where I'm going to save it for the show, and it's going to not paint a very pretty picture as what could happen, but it's definitely, let's just say, a coordinated attack. Which tells me that the power that the state's assembly is getting is growing and more people are seeking their own sovereignty. There is a silver lining to it all, though. It's showing what power comes with you if you join the American States Assembly and how so many people have your back and how everything shifted for him really quickly because he was part of it. Okay, so that's going to be coming in on Thursday. It's really important. You're going to hear both accounts from Matthew and Dennis on how Dennis coordinated to help Matthew out. So it's really, every time I hear, when I speak to anyone who's part of the American States Assembly, there's so much high frequency, there's so much high vibration that's coming through. There's so much love and light that it's so wonderful. So look out for that. All right. Okay. And also, if you haven't joined my Telegram channel or my Instagram, please, those are the two major social medias I'm kind of engaged in other than my YouTube channel. I'm doing these videos. I do put out mini videos on there. I just put out one yesterday about how your future is funded by your feelings. So again, if you'd like to get some of those mini insights, those are on those channels. All right, guys, let's get into the solar eclipse. So this whole solar eclipse, the theme around it is really about you can't know what is coming. And it really kind of leaves us hanging because solar eclipses are new moons that have an extra potent new moon energy behind it, which means there's new beginnings starting. And with every solar eclipse and lunar eclipse, we just had one almost 2 weeks ago, that it's closing out the last 6-month cycle and it's opening up a brand new 6-month cycle for us. And so whatever is kind of transpiring and opening for you right now is going to carry through. It's setting the tone to carry you through the next 6 months. And this new moon, it's all about bringing new beginnings for you, potentially new opportunities. And that lunar eclipse that we just had was all about closing something out so that you could start something new. Okay, so just think about where you are at with that last lunar eclipse in Sagittarius, which is all about, closing out perhaps outdated beliefs, outdated ways of thinking, particularly when it comes to maybe religious thinking, spiritual thinking, any kind of philosophy, and what's kind of really opening up for you now. The thing about solar eclipses too is that it brings in really unpredictable energy. And on top of that, we have the Saturn-Uranus square that's coming exact just a few days after. And Uranus is stronger than Saturn at this time because Saturn's retrograde. So Uranus is really kind of driving a little bit more of the energy. It's got more power. So it's adding like that extra unpredictable energy around the solar eclipse, which means it's going to be so important to not get triggered or to not react to something, because making any big moves right now could cause a lot of unpredictable events to unfold for you that you may not want to carry through the next 6 months. So the reason what you want to do for the next couple of weeks is just kind of lay low, okay? Don't react. Don't get involved in starting something new, especially if it's business, okay? Because Mercury, that's retrograde and in Gemini and about to come Cazimi with the sun and the moon, is ruling a lot of business. It rules our communication, our devices, our information. So if there's kind of anything new around business, just hold off with signing contracts or, making big moves until after Mercury goes direct on the 22nd. But this whole solar eclipse is about divine timing and how things are going to be revealed to you in divine timing. And there is a big square happening with Neptune in Pisces to this solar eclipse. And that creates a lot of tension here. And Neptune is the planet of illusion and fantasy. And when it's squaring, there's a couple of things here that are happening. There's some positives and there's some not positives, like some negatives here to be wary of. And that is that Neptune can often bring in some deception. Things aren't as clear as what you want them to be. Like the information that Mercury's trying to gather and talk about with the sun just a few hours after the solar eclipse happens, it's clouded. It's clouded by a lot of confusion. There may be misinformation coming through. There may be, for lack of a better word, fake news coming through. Okay, so it's up to you to use your discernment, but because Mercury's in retrograde, your discernment can't come so much from the logical side. It's really got to come from your own intuition. And that's one of the positives that this Neptune alignment is having on the solar eclipse, is that it's really asking us at this time to start trusting our intuition, to really bring in the higher self as more of an authority on how you're being guided in this new start to your next 6 months. And when solar eclipses and lunar eclipses are happening, remember the solar eclipse, it's happening by the North Node, okay? And the North Node is all about expanding things you're not used to. It's about exploring the unexplored. And so your higher self is asking you to do something you don't usually do. And it's setting you on this new path, okay? That really, you don't have all the information yet to be clear about how this is all going to play out for you. And you're not supposed to have all of the information right now. In fact, this is really testing a lot of us to become more comfortable with our higher self as our guide, our own intuition, allowing spirit to speak through us, as opposed to always using our logical processes or using past experiences. Because this is all about, with the Uranus influence here coming in, it's also, it's kind of challenging us to really focus on how are we innovating ourselves for the next 6 months. It's about self-innovation, okay? It's also about, it's about like really kind of your future. Okay, what is changing for your future you? What does your future self wish to communicate with you? And it could be very well be possible that you will receive future self communication around this eclipse that may not be so clear. You're likely, because of the Neptune influence here, be getting a lot of symbols in your dreams, or getting dream communication, cryptic messages in meditation, things that feel coded. Okay, and you're not supposed to have all the answers just yet. You're supposed to allow everything to kind of simmer and process and let it integrate before making any big moves. And so make sure that as you are going through this, just don't react to anything just right away. Allow a couple of weeks to pass by through the solar eclipse before you do anything big. Okay. Now, it's very important that the moon, okay, which is going to block out the sun, is out of bounds right now, which means it's not in alignment with the sun. It's a little bit further away than where it's supposed to be when it's in alignment with the sun. And so when a planet goes out of bounds, it's kind of in rebellion. It's kind of like, I don't want to play by the rules. I want to do something that's a little bit kind of out there. And the moon obviously is very emotional. It's driven by its emotions. And this is further driving home the fact of, do not let your emotions get the better of you through any kind of situations. I personally just had to reel myself back in on something I wanted to react to. And when I went for a run and I kind of contemplated on it, like the instant message was, no, wait, silence is better right now. And that's kind of really in line with Mercury retrograde about to kiss the sun. So remember, if the moon represents your emotions and the moon's about to block out the sun, that Mercury is coming in to do counsel with the sun, right? When Mercury hits the sun and they become conjunct, that is going to be a moment of counsel where Mercury is revisiting something. Probably think back to mid-May, that you've already understood. There's some kind of information you've already been given, and you're reviewing it, you're processing it, you're integrating it, and you're coming back in with the sun, which is your consciousness, right? It's illumination, and you're wanting to have a conversation about that. But then you've got the moon blocking out the sun, blocking out clarity, blocking out information, which are your emotions. So just be mindful that your emotions could be blocking out the clarity that you need or the information that you need in order to move forward over the next 6 months on a new path that's really about you aligning to your future self, you aligning to a more innovated you. All right. Now, the benefit that's kind of coming in here is Saturn is trining this solar eclipse, okay, which means it's helping the eclipse. So we are getting some assistance of wisdom coming in, like a really nice grounded energy that Saturn's bringing in some groundedness, bringing in some wisdom to help us understand all of this new information that we may be getting in drips and drabs, okay? And it's almost like putting a little bit of a puzzle together on how this is all going to play out. Now, the vision that I was shown before I came online, I just kind of wanted to sit and if there was any other messages, was I was shown a microscope in my mind. And they showed me a microscope. And I was like, okay, but they said instead of looking into the microscope with your eyes, you're meant to look into the microscope with your third eye. Now, Gemini, the sign that the solar eclipse is in, is all about the fine details, right? It's all about the little things. Where Sagittarius, its opposite sign, it's all about the big picture. But now we're really, the solar eclipse was like, let's get into the details. And my guides were showing me that in order to benefit and prosper from what the solar eclipse can bring us all, it's important to use your third eye to get into the details of what is happening. And when I'm looking through this microscope and I'm using my third eye to look in, it was taking a little bit of time. And then all of a sudden this flash of brilliance came through the lens. And they said, what you need will come in divine timing. It will come in a flash of brilliance, of clarity, of knowing. But you need to wait and be patient. And over the time of you being patient, it's important to pay attention through the next couple of weeks at all the different signs, all the different messages you're getting, whether it's in your dreams, again, symbols, coded messages, all of that. Pay attention, write it down in a journal, understand it. And that is kind of what's happening. Now, again, remember, solar eclipses are about us really kind of going outside of our comfort zone. They're about us expanding ourselves to really get the solutions to the problems that have started. Now, remember, because I speak about this a lot in my alchemy program, which, by the way, if you want to join alchemy, links in the description below. We have our live call this Sunday, where I'll be going over more of this and the upcoming alignments. But the south node that we just had with the lunar eclipse, it's all about letting go, right? It's the dragon's tail. The north node is considered the dragon's head. It's where things are kind of coming in. And then the tail, it's about excreting things. So that lunar eclipse was about letting something go that is no longer in alignment with us. Its lessons have been learned. It's time to like create space for new to come in. And the south node is all about our past lives. It's what we know. It's what's familiar to us. Whereas the north node in the solar eclipse is saying, no, this isn't familiar to you. It's a little scary, actually. What you're feeling called to do might feel a little bit daunting. It might feel a little bit outside your comfort zone, but your higher self is pushing you right now to go there. It's giving you nudges. However, with this particular one, the nudges are soft nudges because there's no need to rush just yet. So this is all about really understanding what on your path is now starting to reveal itself to you that shows you a new direction that is more in alignment with your highest good and your highest light, and also the intended destiny for you. Remember, eclipses, especially solar eclipses, are fated events. They bring in a lot of fated events. So what is happening now, if you're losing something, it's because it's time to let that go. The universe will be assisting the release of something that is just can't be with you anymore because there's something bigger coming in that you need to create space for. And so sometimes these fated events will happen around the solar eclipse. So let me just see if I missed, because I took some notes here. I just want to make sure. So, okay, let me just tell you in relation. So find out where the solar eclipse, it's happening in Gemini. Where is that in your chart? I would refer to your rising sign, okay? So for instance, my rising sign's Cancer, and Gemini would then be my 12th house, right? Because it's the last house, starting Cancer is my first house. So this solar eclipse is happening in my 12th house, which is all about spirituality, right? It's all about the subconscious. And interestingly enough, what's happening for me, I don't think I've said this on the channel yet. You guys in alchemy know about it, but I've been receiving an Akashic attunement since just a few days before the lunar eclipse started. Consuelo actually helped assist me with it with a session, but before I had the session with her, I started getting flashes of past lives coming in. That's also when that darker, smaller green being showed up in my third eye. that was the initiation of this Akashic attunement that I'm receiving. So what I found out is that so this solar eclipse is happening in my 12th house, which is kind of giving me a lot of downloads. It's my dreams. I'm sure a lot of you are just having intensely visual, vivid dreams right now. I know mine have been very, very vivid, but receiving messages that are working with me to start me on this new path where I'm going to be they're giving me access to the Akashic records, and I've done energy work. I had all these beings doing energy work around me to assist me in moving seamlessly into the Akashic and out, so that first I'm going to be working just with myself and understanding my past lives. I'm already getting visions. Like the other day I had a past life vision of myself as a Roman warrior. And then eventually they said soon it will be for other people, and that will be something I do regularly. So it's interesting that this solar eclipse is activating that for me in my 12th house. And they purposely said they're doing it slowly for me, and they're using the entire eclipse portal to attune me. So, well, part of the reason is it's because they don't want me to be under more stress than I already am being up here in Canada. And that's just a whole nother story, let me just tell you. But they're working through slowly to adjust me slowly, and I know that I'm already getting information. So it's really just interesting. Find out where the solar eclipse is happening for you, whatever your rising sign is. Then where does Gemini fall in what house is that for you? Remember, your rising sign will be your first house, and then go forward through the astrological chart to find out what house it's in. And that's where you're going to be probably most effective. That's where you're going to be asked to kind of step outside your comfort zone. So I'm really being asked to not know what's happening, to really kind of trust my intuition. Like this one's like super intuitive for me, like on an eclipse level, because it's in my spiritual house. It's in my one that's really kind of asking me to go beyond what I'm used to. And to be very quite honest, I don't know how to access the Akashic records. I'm being shown that right now. And so it's kind of this trusting the process and letting my intuition show me and my higher self show me, and I'm getting things in little drips and drabs. And so allow whatever the solar eclipse is showing for you to really kind of show itself to you in divine timing. Allow the divine timing to reveal what is needed, and not to push the process. Take your time with it. Allow it to integrate, because with Mercury also being in retrograde until June 22nd, it's a perfect time when it's all about information and communication to really just take more of a review and process kind of attitude. So that's pretty much all I've got to say for the eclipse. Does anyone have any questions that they need me to answer? And oh my gosh, I'm on fire right now. There's so much energy moving through me. I'm literally sweating. I don't know what just happened in the last 5 minutes. It's probably because I was talking about my Akashic attunement. Oh, Amanda, happy birthday. Happy birthday if you've got a birthday on the eclipse. How beautiful. Free press. The phasing in and out of reality has increased. The energy changed. Get used to it, but make no contracts until you settle into it. And that's perfect. Don't settle in. Don't make any strong decisions until you're really comfortable in the energy of what you know. Greg, there's a ton of free sites where you can go, like just type into the search engine, calculate my rising sign or calculate my ascendant. It also goes by the name ascendant, and you should be able to find out what your ascendant sign is. So let me see here. Stacy, it's frustrating. You want to join alchemy, but it's Mercury retrograde. The good thing about alchemy is it's, not a strong commitment. It's not like it's not going to draw you into a very long-term contract. You can leave anytime. Hold on. 1 second. Sorry. Okay, so let me see here. Anything else coming in? Okay, so the energies are intense. They're super, super intense. But man, there's so much happening right now. Even when I think about this idea of Neptune really clouding all of the information that's being reviewed, and we kind of see what's happening like on a world stage, it's like, wow, it's really kind of speaking through about how important it is to have discernment at this time and to really kind of fine tooth comb everything that you're getting and then sit on it. Like, don't marry yourself to any kind of information that's coming out right now. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing too, which is kind of cool. But it's interesting just to see there's so much happening. And wow, we're going to get into it on Thursday on my show, because there's stuff happening in Arizona that as a result has affected the state nationals, and I think that's why they're getting attacked. So there's a lot happening there. So we're going to get into that on Thursday, guys. Don't miss that. It's a kind of breaking show. I was considering doing it for the podcast, but I already have 3 weeks of guests lined up. So this is something that needs to come to the table right now. So I'm bringing them on Thursday. Just stay tuned. I will put out a newsletter. I know I haven't been putting out my newsletters like I used to ever since my website got taken down at the beginning of February. It's up now. I've got a new one up, but I don't post anything on it because I don't want my website to be affected by any of my posts, which is what got it taken down before. So but I will send out a newsletter Thursday with the links, but you guys should see it if you're already subscribed to YouTube. So just let everyone know it's going to be a very important show to look into, because it kind of, what I like about it is that it shows you that, as any of us start to reclaim our own sovereignty, stand up for ourselves, and when I say that, I mean just even through just standing in your own light of your truth, right? Last week with Jen on this, it was like, it's not about fighting back. It's more about just exercising your rights and and knowing it and feeling comfortable in that. And it's not an easy ride, you guys. We're the way showers. We're like paving the way. And so there are going to be expected road bumps along the way. There are going to be twists and turns. It's not a paved road. We are the ones who are meant to pave it. And so showing kind of some of the hardships that do come up as a result. However, how it was handled was beautiful. And the backing of the American States Assembly was huge in really helping Matthew out. And so it gives me just so much more confidence and understanding that the way I see it is, it's a very great way to go. So yeah, that'll be interesting, because that show will come up just as the recount in that state is finishing. I believe it finishes on Wednesday, right? So that's really interesting. We're seeing like what's kind of coming out there is just so interesting. But again, it's like with this solar eclipse, it's like, okay, I'm watching everything. I'm taking in all the information. I'm not getting married to any outcome. No outcome, because I just feel like, again, there's unpredictability here. We just don't know. And so better to stay grounded, stay focused on your own stuff, and just kind of peek in, gather what you want, and then just on your way and do your thing. All right, guys, I love you so much. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you guys tomorrow night with Consuelo as we talk about soul group contracts and do a clearing. She's going to bring in Lord of Time, and we'll also answer questions, okay? Lots of love to you guys.